Ukraine's president on Saturday commemorated the millions of people who died from 1932 to 1933 during what some call a Soviet-engineered genocide. Soviet leaders refused to acknowledge the famine. They also confiscated grain supplies and prevented travel to find food. Mr. Poroshenko said the tragedy, known as Holodomor, would have never happened if Ukraine had been an independent, democratic country.
And for the first time in almost 100 years, the Ukrainian parliament will not have any communists. This fifth column that shares the responsibility for the genocide of Ukrainian people.
Mr. Poroshenko said the communists were now relegated to the trash can of history. He called the Russia-backed rebels fighting in the East the successors of Stalin, and accused them of repeating criminal experiments from the time of Holodomor.
Today, the enemy is trying to detach us again, disunite us, make us fight, to drive a wedge between us. Today, we need to be united more than ever.
The commemoration was attended by ambassadors from the United States and several other nations that call Holodomor an act of genocide against the Ukrainian people. Russia, the center of the former Soviet Union, does not, and has pointed out that other former republics suffered from famine as well. Most Ukrainians, like Nina Marchenko, had relatives who died during the 2-year period.
My family has also suffered. I was born in '56, but I don't remember my grandmothers and grandfathers, especially my grandmother Christina, who died in '33. They died during Holodomor.
Saturday's event marked the first state-sponsored public commemoration of the tragedy in years. Former President Viktor Yanukovych, who was ousted earlier this year, toned down previous ceremonies in support of the Kremlin line. Volodymyr Vyatrovich is with the Ukrainian Institute of National Memory.
Yanukovych was trying not to talk about the crimes of the Soviet past. They started to close archives that contained material about crimes committed during Soviet times. And on the contrary, they started to renew some Soviet traditions.
Ukraine's Western-backed leaders say they will push for the country's independence and a European future despite thousands of deaths in fighting in the East. Daniel Shearf, VOA News, Kyiv.